98.57 FM. I'm Kevin Kietzman, your humble host on a Tuesday. Hope you're having a great day. Summer is here. My biggest complaint of living in Kansas City is this completely unwritten rule that's been around since the day I was born that you cannot open a swimming pool until Memorial Day. I do not understand it. This is summer weather. We got 86 and sunny today, and I love it. A lot of you don't like the heat and the sun. It is my favorite thing, and we hope you get a chance to get some vitamin D today. Hope you're having a great day. We got a nice show lined up for you. We'll talk a little bit about Trump's visit to the Middle East and what it's all about and how they're sort of missing the coverage on the good things that are happening, and they just kind of roll by, and nobody talks about them. Chiefsaholics in trouble. You've heard that story, no doubt. I'm going to try to provide a little opinion and context on why what the state of Oklahoma is doing to him is a good thing for all of us. We'll talk a little bit about the Royals' future in a ballpark after a Missouri State senator makes some comments, pretty strong comments about what's about to happen. Of course, we'll check in with Mark a little bit later on a wide variety of topics, as he is so well-rounded and has so many things to say, and I like springing them on him. Most days, just so you know, I just spring the topics on him. We just do it. He hasn't told me yet that he's uncomfortable with that, so it's just the way we do it. I think it's just a little more natural that way.
It's fun and organic.
Fun and organic. What isn't fun when it's organic, right? Okay, excuse me, I got sidetracked there for a second. Let's start with a story that you're going to think, this is not a sports story, folks. It is not, but it involves the NFL. As you recall, last week, the NFL commissioner was at the White House, and he was doing all this stuff with Trump, and they were signing an executive order, and they were doing all kinds of things, and he got a football presented to him, and the NFL's all up and in it, and DC's going to have the draft, and they're going to be on the National Mall, and we're going to build a new stadium for the Commanders. All these good things at the federal level for the NFL franchise and the NFL itself. Well, you know what Trump's big deal is, don't you? His big deal in the government is getting rid of all DEI. And he's stressing this to every CEO that he meets with, from Tim Cook at Apple to the smallest company person that he may see, to all of the government agencies. It's not a level playing field when we have DEI. It is, in fact, one of the most un-American concepts available. If you are going out of your way to try to hire someone because of their skin color or their gender or whatever it may be, sexual preference or religion, that is, as a matter of fact, discrimination. Get this. The NFL owners are about to have their annual meetings, and they are not going to have their great convening force celebrate something called the, quote, Diversity Accelerator Program. Now, this has happened 6 times before. 6 straight gatherings of NFL owners. They have like a cocktail party, a big event, where they invite anyone. It's paid for by the teams. If you're a minority and you're in coaching or front office with an NFL team and you're a minority, they'll fly you to the meetings to be with the owners. They'll open up a giant ballroom. They're going to put out the biggest jumbo shrimp cocktail you ever saw. There's going to be an open bar, and we'd like all the minorities to come in here that want to be a head coach someday or a general manager and mingle with all 32 teams. Like the owners are there, the general managers, the head coaches, everybody's there. It's a giant cocktail party. It's socialization, but it's business. Get in front of them. Shake hands. Find the people you think you might have something in common with, because we want more head coaches and more general managers that are minorities. They call this the Diversity Accelerator Program. This year, for the first time in 6 consecutive meetings, it's canceled. It's also canceled in December. They're targeting next May to have something different, but they don't really say what. They simply say they're committed to diversity. This is unbelievable. I'm reading from a story here. The author's name, I think, is Jonathan Jones, and he's African-American. In the past, he has said he is a minority. It makes a minority a token, and that's the last thing any minority wants. It says if you're going to hire a coach, a head coach in the NFL, you must interview, at least on the phone or something, you must interview at least one minority candidate before you hire somebody. What happened in reality was people like Eric Bieniemy became incredibly embarrassed and had their careers ruined by it. What happened with Eric Bieniemy? He was one of the highest ranking assistant coaches in the NFL, black man here in Kansas City, multiple Super Bowls. So every job that came open, they just called him and interviewed him, whether it was a Zoom call, a phone call, fly him in for an interview, put a jacket and tie on. All these things happened for Eric Bieniemy. And it just got more and more and more embarrassing for him as he was rejected for these jobs. And I will personally tell you that my interactions with Eric Bieniemy, I like the man. He was very nice to me, but he was an unhireable head coach. He had criminal offenses while he was in college and while he coached in college. There's just too much there. It was never going to happen. And I would say, if my gauge matters to you at all, I don't think he's head coach material in the National Football League. That's not an insult. Neither am I, and neither are you. That's not an insult to Eric Bieniemy. Some people rise to the level of offensive coordinator, make $2.5 million a year, and that's a hell of a career. And he did it, and he won rings, and he gets to talk to his grandkids their whole life about all the great things he did and how he's friends with Patrick Mahomes and all this cool stuff. Sometimes that's far enough in a career. But the NFL still has this silly Rooney Rule, and so this writer doesn't like that either. This is, again, liberal media in the Trump era reporting stories that say they're actually in favor of getting rid of these diversity things. This writer at CBS Sports says this has been a joke. In the history of the 6 Diversity Accelerator program meetings for head coaches and GMs, only one attendee has ever become a head coach. And that's Aaron Glenn, who's coach of the Patriots now. He was drafted by the Patriots 25 years ago. He's been in the Patriots organization his whole life. They don't need to meet him at a cocktail party in some random place to know this is the guy we want to be our coach. Do you see how this works? If you get drafted by a team and you play for that team, that owner gets to know you really well. If you're in the front office and you're working there, they get to know you really well. Trust me, nobody in sports didn't get promoted because of the color of their skin. I can make a strong argument they didn't get promoted and haven't been in positions because of their gender, but not the color of their skin. That does not exist in sports today. It does not. If you're the person for the job, you get hired and you do it. They want to win. Gender's a different thing. But these programs in the NFL are mostly based on we've got all these black players and not enough of them are becoming head coaches and general managers. It's a ruse, and it's a great read. And the NFL trotted out a guy named Dasha Smith, who's their not really diversity guy. Diversity's not in his title. But he says the accelerator program that we've been thinking through is how we can make it better and bring head coaching and front office folks together in one program. It just hadn't been working out right. We've been thinking about this for several months, well before this election. So I can say, hand on heart, you should not draw any conclusions to the timing on all of this with Donald Trump, because we've been talking about how we're going to improve the accelerator program, candidly, from the time we did the last accelerator program for coaches, which was this time last year. The timing stinks, writes the author. It's an easy way out for the league. They could have just gone through the motions. They could have done the accelerator program. And to the NFL's credit, they said, it doesn't work. Trump's right. We've looked at this. We've looked at our own data. It's not working. We need to rethink this. There must be a better way to create an environment in our business, our giant corporation, to create opportunities or advance people of color or women, whatever it may be, non-football people. I don't know. They're going to take a year, folks. The NFL is going to, how much do you think they're going to spend on this? They're going to take a year to try to figure out how they can get more coaches. Now, one of my arguments has always been, yes, you have all these players and they say none of them become coaches. Do you think Patrick Mahomes is ever going to be a coach? Do you think if he wanted to be, they'd hire him? I think they would. He's going to make $1 billion. He doesn't want to coach. Your star, Chris Jones, doesn't want to be a head coach in the NFL. He's made $150 million already. It's not his thing. I don't think Chris Jones wants to be a head coach. You have to have people that want to do it. And for the most part, not always, but for the most part, head coaches are players that were afterthoughts. They're backup quarterbacks. They're offensive linemen. They're somebody that you just would never even think, okay, how are we going to do this? Whatever. Aaron Glenn's the exception. He was a star player, an outstanding player, multiple Super Bowls. That's great. He wanted to become a coach. He got there. I don't think there are very many star black players that really have it together that couldn't be a head coach if they wanted to. But they choose not to after football. And I understand why. It's about family. It's about quality of life. It's about all those things. The NFL is out on DEI, folks. They need to cancel off the Rooney Rule. It's a joke. It's an embarrassment. It really isn't enforced the way it was, or it isn't run the way it was at one point. It used to be, when it first began, it's been around forever, they would make sure that all the TV stations had video rolling when the black candidate showed up to be interviewed. They'd be like, he's going to be at the airport. Then we're going to be dropping him off at the stadium. Get video. We're bringing a black coach in. Get that video and put it on the news for us, please. They'd send out press releases. We have an interesting interview today, 3 o'clock outside the facility. Shoot that video. Here comes a black man. It was such a ruse and such a complete embarrassment because they didn't want you to know the other candidates they were interviewing. They just wanted you to shoot video of the black guy walking in. There's nothing more offensive and racist than the Rooney Rule. Trotting out black candidates to be token interviews when they, in so many cases, were never qualified and never considered for the job, just so you can say, hey, we went and interviewed. You know what the perfect way to do it is? You find a guy like Mike Tomlin, who's been with the Steelers since he was 32 years old. He was a linebackers coach. They knew about him. They interviewed him. They said, that guy is the man. That guy's the man. And the Pittsburgh Steelers hired him. And he's been there, 20 years or longer? Won a couple of Super Bowls? That's how it works. Not because they're telling you got to go find some black dude. No. They knew the best coach out there was Mike Tomlin. And they went and got him. And that's the way these things work. And again, we're in the golden age of America and the Trump era. I absolutely love it. Uncanceled today is brought to you by our friends at bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind. You've heard Mark and his spots that are on the air here at KCMO Talk Radio. And they're a very compassionate family, and their business is filled with people that are compassionate. One of the gentlemen that goes out and meets you if you're trying to sell your home and you need to get out quickly is a former pastor. He has dedicated his entire adult life to helping other people. Obviously, he probably makes a couple bucks more working for this company instead of he did as a pastor, but it's the same thing. He goes out and he finds people that are in some way in a bad situation, whether it's a breakup, a divorce, whether it's personal, maybe it's a medical situation, an emergency. A lot of folks just need to sell their house. They can't get it cleaned up. They can't get it, remodeled. They don't want realtors coming in and they don't want people walking through. Over 10% of the houses in Kansas City fit into that category. There is no realtor. There is no clean out. There is no refurb. They don't do it. Best Offer KC will come in and buy your home. When you're in a tough way, they'll even lend you money before it closes to help you move to your new place. Nobody else in town does that. They have never, ever, once, ever backed out of a deal. They offer you a price. It stands. bestofferkc.com. Call 816-338-SOLD. That's 816-338-SOLD. Or to learn more, watch the videos and read about it all at bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind. Hey, it's Kevin Kietzman. Stick around. I'm coming up at 10 o'clock right after Pete Mundo on KCMO 95.7 FM. Actually, I'm right here right now. We're live on KCMO Talk Radio. This is Uncanceled. Thank you so much for being with us today. I've been watching Trump with the Saudi royal prince. Maybe more on that later. That family is worth $1.4 trillion. So the Saudi prince is basically worth 10 times what Elon Musk is worth. Can't call him the richest man because it's the Saudi royal family that is worth $1.4 trillion. And goodness knows how they break that down. This is going to be $1 trillion trip for Trump. He's going to come back with at least $1 trillion worth of new business for the United States. That's pretty cool stuff. Here is Kevin in Overland Park. Good morning, Kevin. You're on KCMO Talk Radio.
Hey, Kevin. I was just going to talk about the diversity accelerator there.
Yeah.
I still want to talk about it.
Absolutely.
It's such a joke to hear, they try to do stuff like that. And it's just so they can, it's showing that they're checking the boxes, that they're part of the DEI programs and so on. And it's just really sad. Everyone that makes the decisions to choose people for these different positions should be basically colorblind. It doesn't matter who's the best person for that job or for that position on the field. Look at the difference in blacks and whites on the field, percentage-wise. There's more blacks on the field than whites. Where's the same, programs for that? It's like, well, let's make sure we, at least interview one white player for a black position or whatever. It just goes on and on and on.
It does. The point is, you and I are correct in this. We're both right about this, that it's wrong to do that. And when you mention it for the athletes on the field or the NBA court or baseball or anything else, it's absurd. It sounds like a Saturday Night Live sketch to say, oh, we're going to put so many players out there for the Knicks that are white because we have too many black players. That sounds absurd. When you talk about it with coaches and general managers and the experience that they have, whatever, we can look at the system and say, are they getting the experiences they come up through? But I don't really see, I've seen so many black head coaches in the NFL. A lot of times there's like 6 or 7 of them, which is double the black population in America, percentage-wise. So, I just don't see this as a massive problem. And I think what's important is this story was written at CBS Sports by this Jonathan Johnson, and he's black. And I'm going to read this one paragraph for you. He says, an easy way out for the NFL would have been to just go through the motions and hold the coach's accelerator next week as planned. This would have been the 7th iteration of the program, followed by an 8th in December, and on we would go. I personally believe the accelerator program on a binary scale has been a failure for the league. If you had asked me after December's program what to do with it, I would have said it needs a complete overhaul. Pressing pause to make sure they get something right is just fine with me. He's saying the NFL's doing the right thing by canceling it. This is a journalist, sports journalist that's black, saying this is just an insult.
It's great to hear because I agree with what he said about the Rooney Rule too. It's true. It's like, and you brought up Eric Bieniemy, great offensive coordinator. He did wonders here. That's awesome. Maybe that's all he can do. It takes a special person to be a head coach, and not everyone can do that job. Andy can do it. Mike Tomlin can do it. Sure, Tomlin's awesome. I love watching his press conferences and interviews because he's definitely a great head coach.
Yes.
And I like Andy Reid too. There's plenty of Belichick back in the day, great coach. It takes a special breed to be able to do that job. Not everyone can do it. So,
all right, Kevin.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling, man. Thank you very much. Always appreciate you calling the show. Very nice. So, yes, Mike Tomlin. The Steelers make the playoffs or have a winning record every year because Mike Tomlin's a great coach. He just doesn't have quarterbacks. It's like watching Marty Schottenheimer's career. They run the ball. They play tough defense. They're a sound football team. They always have a winning record. They can always beat you, but he just doesn't seem to have the quarterback. He had Ben Roethlisberger for a number of years, who I think overachieved. If we're going to just get it into raw sports here, Roethlisberger was an overachiever. He never probably should have been as good as he was, but he had a great running game and a great defense and then made plays when it counted. He had that ability to make plays at the end of the game. But sitting here singling out coaches, this or that, it's ridiculous. I am proud of the NFL for stepping up and saying this program has not worked. It's done nothing. One head coach was hired out of it. I don't think any general managers were. And let's rethink the Rooney Rule and all these other things that we're doing. They're going to NFL is the NFL basically has announced we're doing a DEI pause for 1 year. We'll get back to you. We'll see what the climate is a year from now. But all these things we were trying to do don't work. No kidding, they don't work. No kidding, they don't work. Other football-related news, the Chiefs are going to play on Christmas night. We've told you previously that Clark Hunt wants to have a permanence to this, that he wants the Chiefs to be the team everyone knows plays on Christmas Day no matter what. And this goes way back to 1971, the longest game ever, Chiefs and Dolphins in the playoffs was on Christmas Day. Maybe this is a nice little nod to his dad in the history of football in Kansas City on the Missouri side. Should they move to Kansas? We're hearing all this stuff about the Royals. We'll talk about it in our next segment. Going to Clay County or Kansas, we don't hear anything about the Chiefs. There's nothing out there. What's going on with the Chiefs and a stadium? I have no clue. But their super fan, Chiefsaholic, Javier Babadar, 32 years from the state of Oklahoma, and this is a good thing for the state of Oklahoma. This is deterrent. He previously got 17 and a half from the feds. Now he has 32 years from the state of Oklahoma. He deserves every bit of it. He traumatized an awful lot of people. We'll talk about that and more coming up on Uncanceled. This is KCMO Talk Radio.
You're listening to Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
It's only been about 3 years since Phil Mickelson, professional golfer, Hall of Famer, was the worst person in America for taking over $200 million from the Saudi royal family to join something called Live Golf and leave the PGA Tour. He was un-American, not patriotic, all these human rights abuses. Women just started driving in Saudi Arabia, all this, Saudi. And I start looking into it, and I don't know much about Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, well, they're officially an ally of ours. Like Joe Biden was the president at the time. So the climate was, this is awful. He's siding with this country Trump loves, but they're still our ally. We still defend them. We sell them missiles and military equipment. The Saudis are, so our government can do business on our behalf, the taxpayers, with Saudi Arabia, but Phil Mickelson can't take money from them? I didn't understand any of it. That's where Trump is today. Second time president, second time his first trip was Saudi Arabia. It's loaded with money. I mentioned a little while ago the royal family is worth $1.4 trillion. The Live Golf Tour is not running out of money anytime soon when you have $1.4 trillion. But the point of this trip is if you do trade deals with these countries that we don't have a lot in common with, we don't share religion, we don't share the same beliefs and lifestyles, Trump has a common bond with all of these places that Joe Biden could never have and Barack Obama never had. Which is why if you're asking me, I'd pretty much rather have a business person be president of the United States the rest of the way. Somebody that's been a CEO and understands finances and money and running a company, I want you to run our country like that. And Trump gets it. And the second he sits down with a family that has $1.4 trillion and Trump's over there, for him maybe, or for the United States scraping nickels together, he's hoping to come back with over $1 trillion in new business for the United States. And I think he'll exceed that. Because if they floated out $1 trillion, he's going to come back with more. Not just from Saudi Arabia, the other countries he's going to as well. If you do trade deals with these countries, you have peace deals with these countries. You're trying to stamp out terrorism all over the Mideast. And the enemy of my not best friend, I guess, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. The enemy of your not best friend is also your friend. So the United States is not the best friend to Saudi Arabia in the history of the world, but they're not enemies. But neither one likes Iran very much. And when you have that in common and you're trying to keep Iran from getting a nuke and you're trying to stamp out terrorism, the best thing you can do is have trade deals with these countries and say, we're business partners. We're helping you. You're helping us. This is all good. I don't hear the criticism. And this is crazy because this is Trump. I don't hear the criticism of Trump this week that I heard of Phil Mickelson, the golfer. And you should know, and if you're on social media, maybe you don't like golf, it's time to follow Phil Mickelson on X. All he does is take shots at liberals now and idiots in the media, and he's really good at it. He's a fun follow. Phil Mickelson is all MAGA. He's all out there. So's Bryson DeChambeau, a whole bunch of guys in golf. Golf's almost all MAGA. And they're just out there. And they're smart dudes, and they're quippy, and they're witty, and they're making a lot of money, and they've got millions of followers. And it's like the NFL story. It's a drip, drip, drip right now. Every day we're seeing somebody else going, you know what? We're thrilled to drop this DEI crap. No company really wanted it to begin with. They felt like they had to do it. And there's a feeling right now that it doesn't work and it's not necessary. And guess what happens if you drop it? You save a pile of money. Every company wants to save money. You save money by dropping it. You save money in the federal government by dropping it. That's what Trump's all about. So we're seeing so much of that, and it's just such good news on so many fronts. Trade Representative Jameson Greer said not just specifically of this trip, but the tariffs as they're taking place. He's given an interview after coming back from the China meetings, and he has said the 10% tariffs that we have all over the world will work. He's like, that if we do those just permanently, we've accomplished every goal. He said that alone will rebuild and stimulate manufacturing in America on steroids. You will not believe what happens with business in America and manufacturing. He's not talking about the revenue coming in from the tariffs. He's talking about what happens on our soil. The trade rep says the 10% Trump's put in right now on this pause around the world while they negotiate with all these other countries works. that's enough, that would do it. Well, how hard is that to slap those tariffs on those countries and say this is what we're going to do? And everybody's worried about inflation. Inflation is down. The rate of inflation is down. It was down significantly today. They expected 2.4. It was 2.0. All the arguments are going away. Why are they going away? Because despite what the media and the Democrats are out there screaming that the world is falling apart, Americans are feeling better about America. And the bottom line is, so much of this is, I hate to use the word mental, but that's kind of what it is. If Americans like the way their country is acting, if they see things they believe in, if they see patriotism, if they see wins, if they see victories, if they see good things going on that they buy into and like, they believe in their own life more. They believe it's okay to buy a car now. Or even though interest rates are a little high, maybe it's time to get that new house. We just had another baby. We need a new room. They believe in it. So much of the economy is your belief in it. Are we moving the right direction? Americans are saying very loudly, we think we're moving the right direction. If they are, everything else follows. It's pretty simple, really, and we love seeing that. And then there's Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky, who was on Jesse Waters last night, who's an anti-tariff guy. He's like, I hate tariffs. I believe in free trade. Well, that's great, Rand Paul. I believe in the concept of free trade too, except it doesn't work because the other countries tariff us. It's not free if they charge us and we don't charge them. I think you need to look up the definition of free. It would be nice if it worked. It doesn't work. We've tried it for decades. So Trump said, perfect. We'll tariff you at the rate you're tariffing us. That sounds like free trade to me. But it's not free trade with China because they haven't allowed us in. They're not allowing our products in. There's no Chevy trucks or GMC Sierras floating around in Europe. None. Zero. You don't see anything from America in Europe. They got 50% tariff on our cars. They don't want our cars there. They don't want us competing. This is changing that. That will create free trade. Maybe the best word is fair trade. Fair trade is what we're shooting for. And it seems like it's working. And Rand Paul said, look, I'm a fan of the president's. If he's right, I'm going to credit where credit's due. It looks like it's going very well. He said, we still don't know about China. So I think Rand Paul's even given this up and said, okay, with every other country, it's going to work. I'm still not sure about China. And he may be right. He may be right. But it didn't take long for Rand Paul to go, the president looks like he knows what he's doing. The media, on the other hand, ABC News immediately reported that Trump caved. That was their lead story on the World News Tonight last night. Trump caved and lowered the tariff from 145% to 30%. They didn't mention that China lowered their tariff the same percentage. It's the most unfair, corrupt establishment ever, the liberal media. Trump caved. They reported he caved a month after he lost a trade war with China. That was their story. When the rest of the world is like, whoa, America's winning. And the American people are like, America's winning. I love it. Ballpark news, Senator Maggie Nurenberg from Clay County, Missouri, a Democrat, has spoken out about a Friday deadline, 6 o'clock, in Jefferson City. They want to give $300 million to the Royals over 20 years to build a ballpark in Clay County, which is just across the river. We know the site. Senator Maggie Nurenberg from Clay County says it's this or it's Kansas. She has stated publicly, that's it. That's all there is. That's the word in Jeff City. That's what they're voting on. It's Clay County, which is, pretty Republican, isn't it? It's a governor and a House and a Senate saying, we'll work with these people instead of those clowns in Jackson County in Kansas City, Missouri. We want to go across the river, and we'll do this, and we'll give you $300 million. Here's the problem. The Royals want $2 billion total for their project, the stadium and everything that goes around it. So as, again, a matter of fact, we deal in facts here. Their offer from the state of Missouri, if this passes this week, is $300 million. Their offer from Kansas is $1.4 billion. Now, which would you take? From which state? And I can't even tell you what the Royals are looking at in Kansas. And they may have to back this thing off and go, okay, we're accepting this from you, Kansas. Here's our proposals. We'll sign a deal. We want the star bonds, but we haven't finalized our plans for where we're going to be. Or maybe they have very quietly. I don't know. I can't even tell you where the ballpark would be in Kansas. Nobody seems to know. Everybody seems to know that Mark Donovan, the president of the Chiefs, wants to move to the Speedway for good reason. They've got a brand new Margaritaville hotel there that's sold out until basically September. Hasn't even opened yet. It looks like the most un-Kansas City place you've ever seen. It looks fun. I kind of want to go. And it's there, and everything that's gone there has received star bonds, and it's worked. And I just don't see why the Chiefs won't wind up there. But we'll find out. What we're not hearing from Maggie Nuremberg and the people in Jefferson City is what they're about to vote on for the Chiefs. There's nothing, right? They got a Royals deadline, 6 p.m. Friday. There's nothing for the Chiefs. I've heard Pete talk about when the Chiefs circle back and have a vote in Jackson County and they take the whole 3/8-cent sales tax for themselves. Maybe. But if the state of Missouri isn't talking about anything right now, it almost sounds to me like the Chiefs are dead and gone. I don't know that. I'm not reporting that. It just, the indications are Missouri's focused on the Royals. Like, if we're going to save a team, it's going to be the Royals. But again, $300 million from Missouri, $1.4 billion from Kansas. Mark, what did he pay for the team? Do we know what John Sherman paid for the team? It's just over $1 billion, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Like, let's call it an even $1 billion?
Yeah.
So the difference Kansas is offering is the difference. The difference they're offering is more than he paid for the team.
Yeah, that seems like a deal for Sherman there.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I kind of want the ballpark to be in Clay County. I think that's a cooler spot than any place I can think of in Kansas. Unless they just all wind up at the Speedway, which is possible, I guess. I don't know. I don't think 159th and 69 Highway is the spot or something like that. I don't know. I'm rooting for Missouri on this one. I just don't see how $300 million competes with $1.4 billion on a $2 billion project. You tell me I'm crazy, I'll listen. All right, up next, we'll chat with Mark. If you've got a comment you'd like to make, give us a shout. 913-408-7957. Uncanceled continues on KCMO.
Whether you're a Jayhawk, Wildcat, Tiger, or KC Roo, we won't cancel you. Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
Well, Trump has taken the podium in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia at 6:49 p.m. their time right now, and a giant video screen of the American flag and the Saudi flag behind Trump. A huge gathering. This is a massive room that he's in, and he's just crediting all the great business people in Saudi Arabia and all the wonderful things they've done. Mark, you were looking at it right as we were going to break. What the heck happened here at the start of this thing?
So, yeah, Trump walks out to the stage. They introduce him. After they introduce him to the crowd, he's going to go to the podium to speak. But before that, they start playing Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA, which he always walks out to in America. They're like, oh, we better give him his intro. We better give him his theme song.
I'm telling you right now, I can't. I don't even want to comment on the bad things that happen in that country, whatever's still happening. They're trying really hard to be better. This is one of the most impressive looking things I've ever seen. Everything I've seen all day, these people are laughing. Trump is telling his jokes. He's like, these deal makers over here are the best business people in the world, and he tosses and turns all night. I don't know when he sleeps. He said it's the people that don't toss and turn all night that you can't trust. He's got Saudi princes. He's making fun about them tossing and turning, saying how great businessmen they are. It is so easy to see how Donald Trump has made money in his career. Just kissing people's butts, telling them how great they are at business, buttering them up, because it sounds so sincere and so real. And he's over there doing that on behalf of all of us right now, which is great. Can you imagine Joe Biden? Oh my God, doing this thing. All right, Mark, what do you make of this? The Chiefs, Christmas, every day, forever. What do you every year, forever? What do you think?
I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, the Lions on Thanksgiving, the Chiefs on Christmas. I don't hate it. I know some people do, but I'm fine with it.
Well, it can't get worse than year before last. That was a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's Wednesday's the day they say that if it's on a Wednesday, it's really problematic for the teams. You can't do buys on both sides, so it gets weird somewhere. You either do it in the beginning or the end. Wednesday, Monday looks like the best way to go. You could maybe do Thursday night football Wednesday and then give them a bye sort of thing where they don't play again until the 10 days later on a Sunday. But Wednesday's the tricky day. The Chiefs played that day. Was that the day they lost to the Raiders?
Yeah, that was the Raiders.
That was a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not good. Not good. So we'll see. And 90% sure the Chiefs are going to open against the Chargers on Friday night.
Yeah, that's the leaked one that of all the games that have been released for the international games, that's the one that they haven't officially announced yet who the Chargers are playing, but everybody thinks it's the Chiefs.
So this game was on Amazon last year, as I understand it. Is that right?
I believe it was.
I read that YouTube is trying to buy it, and they are demanding the Chiefs. So I don't know how that works with YouTube. They're trying to buy this thing, and they want the Chiefs on that Friday night. So maybe it was just a gift as part of the Amazon package or something. I'm not sure I know.
That would be interesting because that's free. You just have to sign up to have a YouTube account with a Gmail, basically.
Right. Everybody that wants a game wants the Chiefs. That's just, because we're from Kansas City. We're Kansas Cityans. We're the big spit now, man. We're everything. We're all that. Did you see the video? Anybody see the video of the Yankees infielder last night? Oswaldo Cabrera. Aaron Judge hit a sacrifice fly to right field in Seattle. Cabrera comes running home, and he slides at the plate, and as he goes around the catcher, he got his cleat stuck. Have you seen it?
I haven't, but that sounds painful.
Oh, it's gruesome. He's done for the year. He wound up reaching back and touching home plate on his stomach. He was safe. And then he's on the ground with his left leg bent in the air on purpose. Like he's bending it at the knee because he doesn't want to touch the ground. And the foot is just like dangling. The whole ankle, he shattered the whole thing. It was disgusting. Don't watch it if you don't like this sort of thing. But you don't think of that at all in baseball. It's not very often somebody gets injured for the year, is it? Unless it's a pitcher? An arm?
Yeah, it is pretty rare.
Sometimes a guy could blow out a knee, I guess, but that's pretty rare.
Yeah, like Gordon, I think he had an injury in the outfield, but that wasn't out for the year. That was a few months.
Pitchers go out for the year because they require surgery or whatever. It's an out for the year this time of the season in baseball is very rare, and it happened last night. Oh, do you remember earlier this week, it was last week, we were talking about Sandstone only having 10 events this year, but they got $1 million from the state of Kansas COVID money? It's no wonder they only have 10 events. All the events are at Starlight.
Yeah, Starlight's been packing the events in.
Holy smokes. Now, I forget where they got their money, and I know a lot of rich folks in Kansas City donate to it, like there's a donors club and all that. But they got some public funding, too, and I've not been out there in maybe 3 years. They've refurbished it, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got some new stuff out there, some amenities for the heat, so they've got some extra fans and things like that.
I'll bet they have at least 3 times as many events as what I used to call Sandstone. Good, bigger name concerts, too.
Yeah.
Starlight's cool. Starlight is, if you're safe going in and out and all those things, Starlight is one of those places where you're like, this is such traditional Kansas City. You really feel like you're alive. It was beautifully built. It's in a gorgeous park. Starlight's really cool, man. We're definitely fans of Starlight. And I'll ask you this one, because you follow this closer than I do. Is the NBA draft has 14 teams that are the crappy ones. They throw a ball in the hopper, and they randomly select one out who gets the first pick, second pick, third pick. The Royals do this now. Baseball does it as well. Is it rigged? The Dallas Mavericks got the number 1 pick with a 1.8% chance.
It seems random, but, I mean, they have to have rigged it for the Mavs because they felt bad for the Luka trade. Luka Doncic, their star, going to the Lakers for basically nothing. I mean, that was terrible.
So the conspiracy theory is the Mavericks did this in conjunction with the league so Luka would play for the Lakers for many years for TV ratings.
Yeah.
That they need Luka in L.A. on the Lakers for television. And Dallas went along with it with the little nod, wink, wink that will get you the number 1 pick.
And they get Cooper Flagg now.
Cooper Flagg, the player from Duke, who probably isn't Luka Doncic, but is probably a really good player. Conspiracy theories flying everywhere that the NBA is rigged. I guess you can't put it past anybody. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled, folks. The Vince Show is coming up next.